are live from Arvest Ballpark here in Springdale. It is the site of the 2023 Great American Conference Baseball Championship Tournament. Again, I'm Joey. This is Eric Moyer, who is the Associate Commissioner for Communications for the GAC. Did I get the title right?
Yes, you did. Hasn't changed in 7 years.
All right, that's fine. Hey, pull that up just slightly. There we go. I would say I want people to get to hear you, but
50-50 at best,
yeah,
but
it's all right. We are here, and listen, we have the championship of baseball today. Southern Arkansas University, Oklahoma Baptist University playing for a championship and an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. That is what is going on a little bit later on behind us. It is an absolutely fantastic site.
absolutely. First year getting to play in a minor league facility, and Arvest Ballpark in the Northwest Nationals have been fantastic hosts to us, and looking forward to crowning a champion today.
And Southern Arkansas, no losses so far. They won on Thursday. They won on Friday, actually beat this Oklahoma Baptist team on Friday, and then they moved into the championship. Oklahoma Baptist came back through, held on for a victory last night over Henderson State, so they have one loss. So today's first pitch is scheduled for noon. Looks like it still will take place then, even though there's been rain here off and on for the whole time we've been here. But the field looks great, so scheduled first pitch for noon. If Oklahoma Baptist wins, they'll have to win again in a game to follow.
Correct. Southern Arkansas in the driver's seat. They've got 2 chances to win 1. They would sure love to just knock this thing out and be crowned champions again for the 6th time, and it would be in their 3rd different location where they've won this GAC baseball tournament.
Now, they did it in Enid. They did it in Arkadelphia.
They did not do it in Arkadelphia.
They did not do it in Arkadelphia.
Try again.
They did it. Hang on.
It was last year.
They did.
We
in
were
Hot
there.
Springs,
we were there
yes.
for a long time.
We were there for a long time. Did it in Hot Springs.
There's a lot of
yes.
baseball last year. Yes.
Did not win in Arkadelphia. We were in Arkadelphia though. 2 years.
3.
3.
So close. 16, 17, and then the made-up 21 year where we
Yes.
chose ourselves to go back to.
That's okay.
You'll get there.
I was going to say I was there for all of them.
I know you've literally
But-
called all of these games, but I can understand some people choose to. Not everything gets to the long-term memory.
Well, that's fine. We'll do the best we can. All right, so let's talk GAC baseball really quickly again, and we'll talk a few more things since we are right here in the footprint of the Great American Conference. And I know we talked about small college sports and more throughout the Midwest and beyond, but since we're here, let's go ahead and talk GAC athletics. And there are a number of sports in which the Great American Conference has NCAA Division II representatives, and of course today we'll have at least one more by way of an automatic bid, and we know there will be some teams, or we feel like there will be some teams that get at-large bids. So we'll start with baseball because that's where we are. Again, Southern Arkansas, top seed, won the regular season championship in the GAC. Top seed, they are playing today against Oklahoma Baptist, and the Bison are the 6th seed in the tournament. They've won 2, lost 1 to get to this final day.
Yeah, they're looking to make history being the first 6th seed to win our conference tournament. It is their only path to the NCAA tournament as they enter this week outside of the Central Region top 10. Same cannot be said, though, for Ouachita Baptist and Arkansas Tech. They were 4 and 5 in the most recent rankings, so hopefully by the end of tomorrow, late tomorrow night, they'll be hearing their names called as at-large participants to the Central Region. Henderson State was 10? 9. Arkansas Monticello was 9. 10. Is it my job to know these things?
You would think.
Well,
but
we had
that's okay.
2 teams, Arkansas Monticello and Henderson State, still in the top 10, but outside of the top 8. Henderson getting a win here yesterday, but losing in that finale to Oklahoma Baptist. So they're going to have a lengthy couple of days, try to see if they can sneak into that 8 spots. We're looking to, again, should be in a good position for 3.
Yep.
If Oklahoma Baptist wins, a great shot
For
for 4. If they lose, maybe Henderson State grabs that 8th spot.
Still
but
could happen.
Yes. Up the road, what, 2.5 hours out to Joplin?
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. SAU's softball team, same position as the SAU baseball team. They've got 2 chances to win 1 in a NCAA Central Region softball regional as they take on reigning champion Rogers State in a softball region sub-region final. That action also beginning today. Mule Riders with 2 wins. They've knocked off Rogers State and Missouri Southern to reach that region final undefeated. So they're 2-0. And then over in Edmond, in a sub-regional that featured 3 GAC teams, Oklahoma Baptist, Harding, and Southeastern, along with host Central Oklahoma. It was the Harding Lady Bisons that knocked off Southeastern and Oklahoma Baptist. So they're in a region final. They did take a loss on Thursday. Still have to try and defeat UCO twice to make it an all GAC region final, which we had back in 2016.
That is true. Who was in that?
That would be Arkansas Tech hosting SAU, and the visiting Mule Riders took that super regional and went on to Denver, where I think they ended up being a national semifinalist.
Yes, yes. We'll get a chance to visit with someone from the Arkansas Tech athletic program here in just a moment. Still talking with Eric Moyer now, member of the Great American Conference staff. And Eric, as we're here, of course, we talked about baseball and softball. Let's go ahead and get to one more sport out of the way to talk about, and that is golf.
Yes.
Representatives in golf, Henderson State, the women have already taken Central Region.
Yeah, women repeated Central Region champions. Grayson Blunt with an outstanding final round 65 to catapult the Reddies up to a team title there. So they're in and through. We just narrowly missed having an individual advance to nationals. We missed out by one position in the individual standings, but Henderson State, number 4 team in the golf stat rankings, will be up to just outside St. Louis next week, looking to get themselves some hardware of the national championship variety. And then today, we're in the final round of the Central Midwest Super Regional up in Minnesota. Ready men in position to make it to nationals as they're tied for 3rd. Harding in a tie for 6th. Southern Arkansas also in the top 10. The top 6 teams from that regional tournament go on to the national championship. So in good position for one. We'd love to get a second one in there, but the leaderboard there is so very jumbled that it's going to take low rounds from all 3 teams to try and secure their spots in a national golf championship event.
Eric, while we're here at the baseball championship for our broadcasts on the Great American Conference Sports Network, the GAC Sports Network, this is our final one for the athletic year. It's been a fun year. I mean, we've been in some different places, had volleyball, wasn't in Hot Springs for the first time. Volleyball was in Shawnee, Oklahoma. It's where the basketball tournament was as well. Soccer is always at a different location. It seems that way.
We find out the week of where we're going to be, because that's our one that we do hold on campus site. So we were at Southern Nazarene, and we were at Southwestern Oklahoma on the women's side and men's sides there, and then we came back to what's becoming a stable of GAC championship locations, back to Shawnee for men's and women's basketball. And then just last week, you were chatting with nobody, and an empty chair next to you as you called the action from Bentonville in our softball tournament, which, as I mentioned, Southeastern took that title, which gave them an automatic bid. And now we wrap up
the athletic year
in a new spot.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted to ask you about really quickly. This has been a lot of fun. I know that it's a new place for us to do this. The GAC continuing to make itself known as its conference now beyond just its first years, its formative years, really established itself. And I think with these spring sports like softball having 4 teams in the regional tournament, the NCAA tournament, baseball very likely, I mean, almost definitely 3, likely could be 4.
Hashtag 4-bid league.
There we go. Hashtag 4-bid league. So, but this is a lot of fun. Yesterday, you got to spend some time with me in the broadcast booth. Talk about that.
Yeah, new experience for me. Usually the one feeding you information to make you sound smarter than you already are, but due to other obligations, high school graduations for Blake Smith, who will be on the broadcast again today, I had to step in there and be your sidekick, and at times I think you wanted just to kick me, but in the side. So hopefully I met your lofty standards as a broadcast partner, and you can resume duties with someone you have a bit more chemistry with than Blake.
We've known each other for a long time. I think we had some chemistry. It's all right.
We have, but it's usually in these fun formats as opposed to calling the action and reminding myself that you can't just talk to the truck on air, that you have to push this cough button to just talk to them, otherwise they hear my inner thoughts going out, and that's not always the best.
There are some moments that we can look back on, and there are definitely some highlights and some outtakes.
I've scrubbed them.
No, you haven't scrubbed them yet. One last thing. Last night's game, we talked about that just briefly. Oklahoma Baptist holds on, and I mean holds on for a victory over Henderson State. Now, how can I say that it was a four-run win, and yet, I mean, it was quite a ninth inning. The ninth inning took a long time in and of itself.
46 minutes.
Oklahoma Baptist
I wasn't
had
counting.
not at all. 9-3 lead coming in. They get 5 runs in the top of the ninth, and you think, wow, that's just, you're almost just padding your stats at this point. Turns out they needed them.
Yeah, Henderson State with, like I said, to get to 10 from 3, you can do the math.
Yep.
They scored 7 and had the bases loaded. They had the tying run come to the plate before ultimately Oklahoma Baptist was able to get that all elusive 27th out to secure their spot here today. They had jumped out 8-3 through 4 innings. Kind of were on cruise control then, but then the relievers you can see they kind of ran out of gas, and they were just trying hit an atom ball. Someone get us a line out to center. We don't care, but it just couldn't happen. A couple of defensive lapses on them. Brought the tying run to the plate, but the Reddies rally came up just shy, and here we sit with the Bison and Mule Riders getting ready to take the field. You can see if just behind us, you got a little bit of of chatter in the dugout there. You got the Coach Pettigrew and Coach Cox over your right shoulder over this. I mean, no one could see because the camera's stationary, but trust us, they are there.
That's one of our mottos.
I cannot tell
Please,
a lie.
Trust us. That's what we want you to do.
Trust but verify.
Well, yes, that's one of my favorite guys right there. Great quote. All right, Eric, thank you very much, man. I appreciate you stopping by as always.
Honored to get the invite back.
And you're one of those guests that has surpassed the 3 guest mark too. So we're going to try
Is that like the SNL 5 hosting? Do I get a jacket?
I'm trying to see if we can order some jackets. Once we get to 5 like SNL, then we'll see if we can get some jackets then. Midwest Sports Saturday.
I eagerly anticipate it. XL, please.
All right, we'll do that. All right, Eric Moyer, who is the Associate Commissioner for the Great American Conference, and I'll let you go take care of whatever it is you do.
Thanks.
And which is not broadcasting today, but he'll be giving us facts. So I'll let you go on. And we've got one more person who is waiting in the wings, the green room, if you will, an outdoor green room. It's a very large green room. Come on down here, and we'll get Daniel in here. Thanks,
Thank
Eric.
you, Joey.
So here on Midwest Sports Saturday, our first time that we have done the show from Springdale, Arkansas, and as you can probably see behind me, it's an absolutely beautiful field. And I get to bring in just a wonderful guy now. How do you follow Eric Moyer?
Easily.
Okay, that's all right.
Yeah, it'll be easy. It'll be easy.
Daniel Gallegos, who is the Sports Information Director. I know you have a different title.
It's okay. It's like calling a trash guy sanitation engineer. Okay. Same job, just different titles.
Who works with the sports information at Arkansas Tech University. You got to sit in with me before. This is your second time. I don't have a jacket for you yet.
I'm working my way up. Eric is the one that's always around. I'm trying to make myself more of a presence around these championships. Whether or not my team is invited to still be in these championships. Unfortunately, Arkansas Tech baseball team, they're having a good year. Lost out to Oklahoma Baptist in that opening round series. And, I mean, for them to be a 6 seed in this tournament is just mind-boggling. How they lost 15 games in conference play is – it's just crazy because they're so good. Their lineup is stacked. They've got good enough pitching. That's the reason why they're here in this spot right now.
Now, and you're exactly right. I mean, you talk about the bats, you talk about what they can do, and they can always produce runs. They have a good pitching staff year in and year out. Coach Cox won his 101st game over 4 seasons. He stepped in following an incredibly storied career that his dad, Bobby Cox, was at Shawnee for a long time. But talking about Arkansas Tech then, they're not here, but they are 5th in the regional rankings, and so sitting at home, maybe not completely at ease.
Yeah.
I think if you're waiting for an at-large call, you can't just sit back and go, yeah, this is going to happen. But you have to think that the Wonder Boys put themselves in a good position, what they did over the year.
They really did, and they started off, whenever I first saw the schedule that they were going to have this year, I looked at it and I was like, oh my gosh, they could legitimately start off 0-12 and still be a good baseball team. Because they went to Houston for the first weekend, which was great, a great experience. I got to go knock that off the bucket list. They played the #1 team in the country, defending national champions last year, North Greenville. They were up on them, ended up losing, just too much fight in those guys. They came back and won, but they played a really tough schedule there. And then after that, they go and play 4 games at Central Missouri. They win 2 out of those, so they split that series, which was big for them. But even then, coming out of that, their first non-conference midweek game was at SAU, who was #2 in the country at the time. And then their first series in conference play, all of this within the first span of like 12 games of the year, was Oklahoma Baptist.
Yeah.
And they ended up being able to pull off the sweep against them early on. So it was, again, you look at it and you're like, man, they could be 0-12 legitimately and not be a bad team. But they came out of that. They weathered it. They were, a couple games over 500. So that early part of the schedule really, really helped them get them into the spot. And then they played well in conference play. A couple of hiccups in some series. They battled SAU really close, got swept at home, but they were all really close games. Lost the series to Ouachita, but then you look up, those are the top 2 seeds in the tournament. You know, you can't really feel too bad about not winning series against those guys. So all of that work, you know, the body of work, put them in the position to be regionally ranked. And really, I think what the surprise was, especially you kind of look at it and you're like, okay, well, if you can just get to Springdale, you know,
Yes.
where they were at, you're like, if you just get there, then you feel like, okay, no matter really what happens, you should be okay. By not getting to Springdale, then you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to go on? Well, the nice thing, and the way it worked out for them was after getting beat out in that opening round series, there was another regional ranking that came
Yes.
out just this past Wednesday that kind of gave you more of a, okay, this is where you're at going into the final weekend of conference tournaments, and they stayed at 5 despite losing, and that was huge because now you're saying you got to drop 4 spots.
Yeah, you've already
to
got
be
those
out.
losses factored in,
Exactly.
and so anything that happens this week, although you might hope for good,
Yeah.
you know that there's not going to be bad.
Exactly.
So
yeah, and really, I mean, then you start really scoreboard watching and just really hope that not too many upsets happen when the conference tournaments. The teams that quote unquote should win do win, and when I say should win, I'm talking about those teams that are either regionally ranked already within that top 10 or are ahead of you. You don't
Right.
really want people below you to win and get that automatic bid, and then
Right.
it starts knocking off people. And so I know they're doing some scoreboard watching back home in Russellville. I'm doing the same thing up in the press box, and you know, I'm a big fan of certain teams and not so big a fan of others. So
and well, at least temporarily.
exactly.
Temporarily, then, you know, obviously a fan of Arkansas Tech all the time, but at this point, and we're neutral from the conference perspective.
Yeah.
From an Arkansas Tech person, at this point, you have to be thinking it would be better today if Southern Arkansas goes ahead and wins out, so
Yeah.
that Oklahoma Baptist doesn't take, you know, one of those spots. But as we talked about that, it's good for the league anyway around.
Absolutely, you know, and if Oklahoma Baptist is able to take 2 from SAU today, they more than earned a spot in the regional, not just by getting the automatic bid that you get from winning a conference tournament. To me, they would have just played themselves in anyways. So, and like what Eric was saying earlier too, this league should be a 3 to 4 bid team or bid league each year
Yes.
in baseball. I mean, the conference is that good. The top, 6 teams that are, fell in the standings, all of them could have won the regular season. And by winning the regular season, it's such a grind. You had all 6 of those teams with over 30 wins, and it's just very, very balanced. Where some of the other conferences in our region are traditionally more top heavy. And you've got your Central Missouris and now Missouri Southern this year, and then Augustana and Minnesota State Mankato and the Northern Sun, and then everybody else just kind of falls, a rung or 2 below them. It's not really the case in the GAC. It's a fight and it's a battle each weekend. So, I mean, if Oklahoma Baptist wins, it's going to be like, oh, what does that do for Tech? But I think it's great. They've earned it, and it'd be great to see 4 teams get in for baseball like they did softball.
Just like, that's exactly right. That's what I wanted to say. Softball, the Great American Conference is, I think, especially in the spring sports, which I will say every opportunity I get, the Central region is by far, and I mean that, by far the toughest region in the country in so many sports. But in these spring sports, the Great American Conference really has done well. 4 teams in softball, 4 teams hopefully in baseball. We'll see how that all plays out, and it could go one way or the other. But one last thing too, and I've got one more guest waiting in our outdoor green room today.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
The great outdoors here in Springdale, although I think I may have needed to put on some sunscreen before
It's okay.
we get going.
That's why I wore a hat.
That's why. But okay, last thing. You have one more competitor, and you had an individual golfer, women's golf too.
Yeah, Ellen Spigner, true freshman out of Nashville, Arkansas. Our golf programs at Tech are traditionally really, really good. We unfortunately lost our former head coach, Luke Calcaterra. He moved up. Congratulations to him to North Alabama, and so he's on to bigger and better things in his career, and just the nature and the landscape now with the transfer portal. When a coach leaves, it's so easy for players to go with them and things like that. And so that's happening more and more now when I think coaches elevate themselves and go other places. And that kind of, took a hit on both our men's and women's programs a little bit. But Ellen was coming in, and our first-year head coach, Joey Baldwin, did a great job with her. She's a very, very talented young lady. You look at her, she's slight build, not very tall. but is a tremendous golfer. And it was good to see her, even though the team didn't quite make the regional, they were in the discussion right there at the end. They didn't make it, but then you get to send her as an individual, and she proved why she was one of the top individuals in the region, finished top 15. So great experience for her, and a lot of good things. I actually got a text message from Coach Baldwin the other day, and they're starting to his transfers and commits for this coming team for the women are starting to trickle in, and he's very, very excited about those coming in. So, very bright future for Ellen, and hopeful that the team aspect can come along too, to where she's not just representing Tech as an individual, but she's able to do so as part of a team too.
I know that the last 2 times we visited, of course, Daniel was with me last year in Bentonville as we did Midwest Sports Saturday there. And out on the field, I was okay. I kind of was thinking about wanting to be on the field at Arvest Ballpark. I have to tell you, I like these seats. There's not a bad seat in the house.
No, I hadn't been to a Naturals game since when I was in college. They had just opened up this franchise, I guess, was established in 2008. I probably came over here in 2009, maybe 2010 in that spring, and hadn't been back since. And when I first got here, like, you were driving up, and Northwest Arkansas is just blown up in general. But you were driving, it was cow pastures everywhere, and you're like, am I going to a ballpark? And then boom, there was a ballpark, and now everything's kind of grown up around it. But I mean, coming back here, it's amazing. And me living relatively close, just a couple hours away in Russellville, that's I definitely need to make my way up here a little bit more often.
It's a good family trip.
Absolutely.
This is a great place to take the family to watch a game too.
Yeah, I love minor league baseball. It's the best.
And see everything else too. You're right. Everything has grown up around this area. I know we talked spring sports the last 2 times we visited, so we're going to have to talk Arkansas Tech football, basketball, and volleyball, and more. So one of these times you'll have to sit in with me during the fall.
Absolutely, Joey. I look forward to that.
All right, Daniel Gallegos, who is the Sports Information Director with a better title than I'm giving him right now. For Arkansas Tech University. Thank you so much. I appreciate
it, Joe.
And
Thank you so much.
I appreciate what you're doing too. You're a good friend. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep, appreciate it.
All right, we have one more guest coming in here on Midwest Sports Saturday, and I know behind me we have Southern Arkansas University, Oklahoma Baptist University. Definitely enjoy getting some of the coaches and athletes on the show, but there are times on game day that I know that may or may not happen, and so right now, unlikely to happen. However, I do have, for the first time on Midwest Sports Saturday, my broadcast partner for the weekend, for 2/3 of the weekend. How about that? He was with me on Thursday, took care of some other things. You have other responsibilities. I'll let you talk about that, but he's going to be back in the broadcast booth with me today. Blake Smith, we've gotten to call some games together, most recently in Shawnee, men's basketball, last year at baseball some. Blake, thank you, man, for taking time with me.
Well, thank you for having me. I know this is a big part of what you do, and I've been fortunate enough to get to experience some of it and to be on camera with you for not the first time, but the first time on your own show.
Well, I do appreciate that. So, Blake, where were you last night? Why were you not here watching the nearly 4-hour baseball game in Game 3? Now, there was a lot of good baseball yesterday, but that last one, it went on for a while. Don't get me wrong, I love talking baseball, but it was one of those where you thought, wow, what is going to happen in this game? But so what were you doing yesterday?
Well, my primary job still is a high school educator. I teach at a K-12 school in North Central Arkansas, and we had our high school graduation last night. I had some duties there, long as being the golf coach. I had several players from a really good team graduate, the kids I've known since they were literally born. So it was important for me to be there for them and to be there for myself to kind of help them transition to a new phase in life.
Where is Melbourne in the state of Arkansas? We're in Arkansas right now, sorry.
If you drew a line straight up on a map from Little Rock, it would be at the very top of the map, probably about 1.5 inches from Missouri. I'm about an hour 45 north of Little Rock, or about an hour south of West Plains, Missouri.
All right, so there you are. So it's Ozark country.
The hidden gem of the Ozarks is what I like to call Melbourne.
All right. So we've got that going on. You, the girls golf coach at the high school, but you also take part in athletics in a lot of other ways. You do some broadcasting. You also do officiating.
I do. I do a little bit of everything, kind of a jack of all trades, master of none kind of situation. I serve as the voice for Henderson State. I officiate 4 different sports throughout the year at both the high school and collegiate levels. I'm one of those people that really like to keep busy and really want to be involved and get to help mentor this next generation that's coming up behind me and going to be the ones that take these jobs when we're ready to be done with them.
I'm not ready yet.
No, me either.
Okay,
Not even close.
that's good. I'm not ready just yet. I want to stick around for a little while longer. Working at and calling games for Henderson State, you just told us where Melbourne is on the map. Henderson State is not close to where Melbourne is on the map. That's a little drive.
It used to be right at 3 hours. Last year, the speed limits in Arkansas by law went up to 75, and so I was thankful for that. So that's trimmed about 15 to 20 minutes off my trip. But I've had family in Arkadelphia my whole life. I grew up going there for family holidays and things like that. So it's a road I'm very familiar with, and I love my school. I'm a Henderson grad. I wouldn't have any other job in the world, and stuff like that makes that drive worthwhile, especially in the winter months.
All right, one other thing here then really quickly, and we're going to be on the call today for the championship game, possibly, if necessary, second game, if Oklahoma Baptist is able to get a win in our first game today. So there is that possibility, one, maybe two, but Southern Arkansas, the top seed. You've seen both of these teams play, actually seen both of them on Thursday, and they played yesterday. We know the result of that, Southern Arkansas, a 6-1 victory over Oklahoma Baptist yesterday. But they played separate games on Thursday. Talk about this game and what you see coming in. Let's talk about the Mule Riders first, the top seed in the tournament, regular season champions this year.
They are every bit of the real deal. They are as good as advertised, very easily a top 3 seed in a really tough central region. They've survived with very little expense to their pitching staff, and that's so important in a tournament like this when you have to lose 2 games to be eliminated. Southern Arkansas had the 8 innings from Jeremy Adorno on Thursday. They didn't have to expend a lot of arms out of the bullpen, so they will have almost a completely fresh staff, and that's where I think they're going to have the advantage on top of what they already traditionally have, with a really strong bottom to top lineup, really strong defense, especially on the left side of the infield and up the middle. A complete baseball team is really what Southern Arkansas has turned themselves into.
They're going to take on a team in Oklahoma Baptist that's the number 6 seed. Daniel was talking about it a little bit earlier. How does a team like that wind up 6th in the standings? Because you know they can produce offense when they need to, have good pitchers as well. They're 3, 4, 5, and 6. It's a home run. Could be at any point in time, no matter, first, 9th inning, anywhere in between. What do they bring to the table today?
The best offense potentially that the GAC has ever seen, averaging over 9 runs per game in the regular season, power up and down the lineup. You've got 1 through 9 that can hit for average, they can hit for power. They've got great speed at the top of the lineup with guys like Isaiah Lasad leading off and playing short. It's a great offense against a pitching staff that's going to be on their best mark today. It's going to be at least 1 great game, maybe 2 if we can survive it, but if not, that 1 is sure going to be a dandy.
Well, I won't ask you to make any predictions. I won't either, just because I definitely want to be neutral in all of these calls. But what I expect to see is good baseball today. And so that's what we'll have right here on the GAC Sports Network. Actually, well, this is Midwest Sports Net, but on the GAC Sports Network. Keep it on YouTube. You can find the broadcast live, GAC Athletics. You can go to the GAC Sports Network website as well. Watch Blake and me on the call there. And let's see, what time is it? At this point, we're about an hour 20 away from first pitch. So that's where we are. But we're going to shut things down here from Arvest Ballpark. I want to say thanks, Blake. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on with me today. It means a lot to have you come on. And we also had the great Daniel Gallegos, who's been keeping stats doing PA right here at Arvest Ballpark. And of course, Eric Boyer, who sat in for you yesterday, and that was an experience. We'll just leave it at that. That was an experience, but that's okay. We had a lot of fun. And then first pitch today at noon. So thank you very much for watching. I want to say, please listen, just keep enjoying the videos here and subscribe to the channel. We have crossed that 1,000 subscriber mark a little while back. That was nearly a year ago, and we're headed for 1,300 right now. We're continuing to grow. We have a lot more on the way this summer. Many, 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 and I do mean that, many coaches, football coaches, getting ready for the 2023 fall schedule. We have a lot of them that are going to be on Division II and NAI, many NAI coaches this year too. So tune in for that. You're probably going to see, if you have a favorite coach in the NAI, He's going to be on Midwest Sports Net this summer, so they'll be preparing the 23 season. But please continue to watch. We talk about small college sports and more throughout the Midwest and beyond. Thanks again. God bless you. You all have a great day. Tune in at noon, and we're going to have a good broadcast here from Arvest Ballpark.